Good morning, Teachers on Fire. Welcome back to another episode of the Teachers on Fire podcast. My mission is to warm your heart, spark your thinking, and ignite your professional practice. Today's Teacher on Fire is Samantha Marsden. Sam teaches drama, writes fiction, and produces drama teaching resources. She is the author of 100 Acting Exercises for 8 to 18-year-olds and the Pocket Full of Drama book series, which includes acting games for improv and drama games for early years. And I think we're going to be talking about another title as well. You can follow Sam on X at Sam Marsden Drama. Sam, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Are you ready to light it up?
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
What a pleasure. This is super fun. You're coming to us all the way from France this morning, and that's super exciting. That's an unusual occurrence here for the podcast. But before we get into your beliefs, Sam, about the value of drama for all learners, let's dig into your own personal story or professional story. Share with us about a low moment or an experience of adversity that you faced somewhere in your education journey and describe how you overcame it.
Yeah, when I first started teaching, I was teaching in a theatre school, which was a weekend theatre school, and it was very showy. And the headmistress there was quite obsessed with getting the shows perfect. Like the children had to stand in their places and do their dances perfect and remember everything perfectly. And it was quite stressful trying to get, young, often 6, 7, 8-year-olds to perform this kind of West End, Broadway quality show. And I really learned that it's so much more important. The process is much more important than the product. And I think in education, the process is the product, really. So that was a difficult time and I was worrying about what other people thought, and I was worrying about, what my boss thought and what the parents thought. But I've let go of that now and just put the students first every time.
That tends to be the winning formula, right? I mean, there's always people that we can worry about, whether it's parents, our building leaders, district leaders. But when we just focus on students, that's where the magic happens. Well, Sam, congratulations on publishing another valuable drama resource, Drama Games for Early Years. What makes you such a believer in the power of drama in education?
Yeah. So the early years book, I love teaching early years. I taught them for just over 10 years, and their imaginations are just wonderful. And the power of drama in education, it can do so much for people. It wakens people up. They're physically, mentally, emotionally, and it helps them feel whole and gets them kind of going at a very interactive level and helps them with their intuition in a way that other subjects don't necessarily do. I mean, you've got physical education where they will physically engage, and then you have academic subjects where they academically engage. But with drama, we just bring it all together and practice it.
So good. You published such a great list on X a while ago of all of the different benefits, all of the different wins that we find when we bring drama into our classrooms. Well, I can't move on from the book, Sam, without asking you for an example of a fun drama activity that primary teachers could use in their classrooms tomorrow without going insane. What could they start with that would be simple and easy?
Yeah. So you just don't have to be a drama teacher to teach drama. Anyone can do it. Primary school teachers, English teachers, anyone. And you can just do a drama thing for 10 minutes just before a lesson or between lessons. And it just kind of wakes everybody up and gets everybody connecting. A really fun one, if you bring a bag of props in, so just go around your house and put random objects in a bag, about 10 objects. It can be a wooden spoon, a hairbrush, toothbrush, nail varnish, a perfume, a book, a funny mask or a wig or a cape or anything you've got lying around the house, and bring about 10 objects in, and you put them in the center of a circle. Ask the students to sit in a circle, and then one by one, well, I never force in drama. If ever you force anyone, it can shut them right down. So ask for volunteers if anybody would like to go in. I normally go first just to give a couple of examples. And you pick out an object and you create a story around that object. So, for example, you might pick up the book and hold the book and imagine you're like an old witch or something and put a witchy voice on, and you can say, this is my book of spells, and once upon a time I turned this dragon into a prince, and blah, 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 blah. And you can create a story about any of the objects in the circle. So that's a fun one. And then a classic one is Yes Let's, which is the kind of classic improvisation game, because in improvisation, we just say yes to every idea. We go with every idea, we don't block each other, and it's about acceptance. So you can ask everyone to find a space in the room, or you can even do it at their desks if you really need to. And you'll just say something like, let's all bake a cake. And everybody shouts, yes, let's. And then everybody pretends to bake a cake. They mind baking a cake. And then you might say something else. Let's all eat a banana. And everybody says, yes, let's. And you'll eat a banana. And then you can start even going a little bit wild, like, let's all pretend we're gorillas. And everyone can pretend they're gorillas. And then you can put it out to the class. You can say, would anybody like to call out the ideas? And you choose a student and they put their hands up, and then they can give the ideas, and they watch their ideas coming to life, which can be quite empowering for them, for a student to say something like, let's all wash an elephant. And then they see all their friends washing an elephant and they're like, wow, like my words were heard. And you can see a little lift in their spine and a little smile, and it just makes them feel good.
That sounds like so much fun. Yes, let's. And I can just imagine, I'm working with some younger students this year, and I can just imagine their energy and their imagination taking over the room. That first example that you shared sounds like something that we do in our writing classrooms, right? By putting up some kind of a prompt or a provocation, as Trevor McKenzie might call it. And we look at whatever it is and we write accordingly. While you're taking that and bringing it into the world of drama. And I really like the sound of that as well. Let's talk about young children a little bit more. Sam, why are young children naturally so good at drama? I noticed that was a comment that you made on X a while ago, that those young children, man, they've got some advantages. What are those?
Yeah. So I went to drama school in London, and when you go to drama school, they are training you to be 4 or 5 years old again, maybe 6 years old. And they're like, because as a teenager and as a young adult, you just build all these defenses, you build all these blocks, all these defenses, all these things to kind of, keep you safe from criticism and so on. But when you're 5, 6 years old, you don't care what anyone thinks. And you're so connected to your true essence. You're so connected to your intuition. And so a lot of drama school is about getting you back into that state of trusting your intuition, trusting yourself, trusting your voice, and just going at it with no inhibitions. And when you get into a class of 5, 6-year-olds, discipline can be a problem. So I do have to be quite strict, and I have quite firm rules with them so that we can be creative within those rules and within those boundaries. And they blow me away. Like, you can just say to them, let's all be fairies. Yes, let's. And honestly, like, they believe it, like their whole bodies and minds and souls. And they just come up with these wonderful little ideas, and they're so believable. So yeah, I find actually it gets almost harder as they get older. To me, the 4, 5, 6-year-olds are the easiest to teach drama. They can't get in a circle or something like that without taking 5 minutes. But apart from that, and then it's, often the kind of 12, 13, 14-year-olds who I think need it the most, who are most difficult. They are so self-conscious, and they're finding themselves. And so you have to treat them very delicately. You can't just go in and force them into stuff. You have to actually take a step back and be quite gentle and do more kind of simple activities and not force anybody, and build trust within the group and with each other, creating a safe space.
All good things. And those are my people, Sam. Those are my people right there in the tween and teen years. I've spent a lot of time in middle school, and I resonate with everything you just said. Well, you shared a while ago a list, and I mentioned it earlier. I kind of got ahead of myself, but you shared a list of ways that drama can help students. And I want to put it up on the screen here if I can. Drama helps students with awareness, confidence, concentration, creativity, critical thinking, diction, empathy, life skills, listening, literacy, problem solving, reading, relaxation, social skills, storytelling, and teamwork. Wow, what a list that is. Of that list, Sam, are there some items that you feel get overlooked sometimes?
I think some people assume that with drama, you're just pretending to be somebody else. And what they don't quite realize is that you're using parts of yourself. So intuition, you're using that to connect with yourself rather than just becoming another character. I think reading gets overlooked. Students read when they want to read. And I just handed out scripts for Matilda recently. And my God, they read it in 3 seconds because they were just so excited. I mean, kind of to see how many lines they had. And empathy gets overlooked as well. Because when you're working as a team, either in a show or through improvisations or through drama games, it's all about listening to one another, putting yourself in other people's shoes, putting yourself in your character's shoes. So, Matilda, we're really thinking like, why is Mr. Wormwood like this? Like, why is Mrs. Wormwood like this? And, they're not particularly nice characters, but the actor has to empathize with them. So we have to kind of go back and look at things like that.
Can I just trouble you for one more? I noticed on that list is relaxation. Talk about relaxation. How does drama build relaxation? Because for a lot of people, they just think, oh, drama, I'm on the spotlight. The pressure's going to be on me or something like that. So can you unpack relaxation a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually just starting a new book right now that I'm very excited about. I haven't even told anyone, but it's drama games for mindfulness and emotional well-being. And in this, I include a lot of the relaxation activities that happen in drama. So we have the Alexandra technique and breathing exercises. And I will often start a drama class with relaxation. Because if you're going to become another character, if you're all tense and your shoulders are tight and your voice is tight, like that character is not going to get in. So you need to make sure that your instrument is very relaxed. A lot of the work I do is about bringing people into the present moment. So mindfulness plays a big part in this isn't every drama teacher. This is just a me thing, I think. But I like to do mindfulness activities with my students so that I can bring them into the present moment, because when you're in the present moment, you feel better and you absorb information better and you learn better, but also you just give a better performance. You'll find that the majority of good actors will be in the present moment when they're on stage or being filmed and all the rest of it.
Yeah, very true. Awesome. When improv exercises are too open-ended, students come up with fewer ideas. Adding constraints can increase creativity. That was something else that you commented a while ago. Talk more about this idea, and you touched on this a moment ago, but how can constraints actually increase creativity?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was starting out as a drama teacher, I did what most drama teachers do, and you keep it quite open-ended because you think it's helpful for the students. So like you say, okay, we're all going to walk around the room, and can everyone imagine that they're on a beach? And everybody walks around and imagines they're on a beach. It's fine. But if you start given circumstances, as Stanislavski would say, kind of constraints, you get more from them. So everybody, could you walk around as you're on the beach and you've lost your dog? You've been looking for your dog for 5 hours. You're really hungry. The sun is extremely hot. And then all of a sudden you're going to get a better performance. And also, for example, if you're sending groups off to go and work on an improvisation. So often I'll split the class into groups of 3, 4, 5 students per group. And I'll say, go away, you've got 10 minutes to prepare a scene. And you might give them a title like The Haunted House, for example. And they have to go and create a 2-minute scene based on the haunted house. Well, if you do that, they're all going to stand around and scratch their head and have a little bit of an argument and be a bit confused. And they won't be able to make their minds out about what to do. But if you give them constraints, so if you say, okay, well, in your groups of 4, for example, one of you has to play a high status person, one of you has to play a low status person, one of you's lost something and has to find it, and one of you has a phobia of the dark. Well, all of a sudden, the group comes together, they work together, and they create this hilarious, funny little story because you've given them some constraints. Now, as the students get older and more advanced, you don't need to, because any actor, a professional actor knows that you create your own given circumstances and you create your own world. And you might be playing a character from a book in a film and you've only got one paragraph to go on. Well, then you have to create the rest of that character and their background and given circumstances. But when you're working with young children, and when I say young children, I mean kind of under 12-year-olds,
Sure.
You give them constraints and they do better. And then they start thinking like that for themselves as they get older, and they'll be better at creating. And we have it in creative writing too, because I'm also a fiction writer. Right. And we are always putting constraints on ourselves. So if your world is completely open, well, you're screwed, because you're not just going to have a proper story then. So, but if you have obstacles, if you have problems, if you have rules in your world that make things difficult for your protagonist, well, all of a sudden you've got obstacles. And when you've got obstacles, you've got drama. So
good. That made a lot of sense as well. Thank you for expanding on that and giving some examples, Sam. Number 7, next question up. How can drama transform the way we see and understand children? Now, I know this must warm your heart. You must have a lot of these situations in your work, but share an example of a time when maybe a seemingly shy student just blew you away with a performance.
Yeah, so it's often the shy students that will really come out of themselves. So what you have, I think something you have to remember with the confident students is that seemingly confident students is actually underneath, they're probably not that confident. And they're wearing these masks and these defensives to like try and be hilarious and try and be loud and try and, maybe prove the teacher wrong sometimes, because it's kind of a show, because they're a little bit insecure inside. And then the shy students who seem shy and don't talk much, sometimes they're actually they can be quite secure inside sometimes. And then they just will sometimes do this detailed little performance or improvisation. And I taught at a school in Bath, which is about an hour and a half from London. And there was one girl and she was really quite shy, and she kind of grew in confidence with the drama games and the improvisations. And then like a year later, she got cast as Matilda in the West End musical, which was super cool. And she wasn't the loudest. She wasn't, the one that you would necessarily be like, oh, that one. But she just quietly did the work.
How can I bring drama into my classroom, Sam? Even if I'm not a drama or languages teacher, what's a good place for me to start?
Well, my books, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wrote them for drama teachers, and they are useful for drama teachers. But also, if you've never taught drama in your life, you can pick up one of my books and you can open it at any page and you can facilitate one of those exercises. I wrote them down in a very simple way, in a kind of easy way, just to facilitate. So yeah, I mean, there are other drama teaching resources books too. You don't just have to get mine. But there's not tons out there.
You are, I feel like you are the leader in your niche. So absolutely check out Sam Marsden on your local book supplier. And Sam, let's shift gears a little bit if we can, outside of education, thinking completely maybe away from drama. I know that's maybe painful for you, but what's another area of learning, and what is it that ignites your passions away from the classroom and brings you alive as a human being?
Yeah, I mean, I love creative writing, and I write novels. And that gets me up early in the morning. So every morning I wake up at 5:30 and I write 5:30 till 7:30 in the morning. And that's just my time to create with my creativity. And I find if I'm connecting with my creativity, then I can help others to connect with theirs. And as soon as I start abandoning my voice and my creativity, then my teaching goes south.
I love that morning, that daily routine. If you can maintain that consistently, wow, that is powerful. So on that note, or maybe related to that idea of morning productivity, share about a productivity hack or habit that contributes to your success and keeps your fire burning.
Yeah, I do my morning pages. There's a wonderful book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's really famous. You might know it. And you do your morning pages every morning, and it's just 20 minutes, and you write stream of conscious, and just all these things pop out, like poems and ideas, and sometimes ideas for the classroom, drama games, ideas for like a whole mix of stuff, and that kind of keeps me going.
Morning pages. I have that book on my Kindle. I haven't made it very far in yet, but thank you for that reminder, that little nudge to get back into it. And I'm going to ask you now some quick Q&A if you're up for it, Sam. Here we go. Share about an Education X educator, someone on Twitter, as we used to call it, that we should all follow, and share why they've been inspiring you lately.
Yeah, so I recently met Dr. John Spencer,
Right.
and his Twitter handle is Spencer.ideas, Spencer Ideas, not Twitter X. And I'm finding him really interesting because about what he's speaking about AI and education. And he's talking about, what are we teaching our students for at the moment? Like, we don't know what their world is going to look like in 20 years from now. So what are the skills that we need to be looking at? And he's saying, the human skills, the skills that the AIs aren't going to be able to replace. And I think this is such an interesting question in education right now. Like, what's the world going to be in 20 years?
Yeah, absolutely. John Spencer, I think you said it, Spencer Ideas, such a valuable follow. And by the way, speaking of YouTube, or thinking of YouTube, we're here in the YouTube space, and he's got a phenomenal channel. So cannot back up that recommendation enough. Recommend one book, Sam, one that you've been reading lately, or one of your all-time faves, and tell us why you recommend it.
At the moment, I'm listening on Audible, but that counts as reading a book, doesn't it? Viola Davis, Finding Me. And there's a reason I'm listening on Audible, because she narrates it, and her voice and the way she delivers that book. And I sometimes do this. If I love a book so much, I don't finish it. I leave the last chapter because I can't bear the thought of finishing this book. So I've just been sat there for like a month with my last chapter going, I don't want to listen. I don't want to do it. I don't want this to end. She's just phenomenal. She blows my mind. Her writing slightly reminds me of Maya Angelou, but like it's her own voice, Viola Davis's own voice, and her prose is exquisite. And she's so authentic and so real and whole in that book. And really interesting if you're an actor. I mean, she talks about the craft of acting, and it's just phenomenal.
Just for fun, Sam, what are you streaming on your own downtime right now? Is there some show or movie that's been on your TV screen lately?
Yeah. What are we watching at the moment? We're watching, oh my goodness, which is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is quite good fun. But I'm missing Succession. That was my favorite. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're one of the Succession devotees. All right. Fair enough. What are the best ways for the Teachers on Fire listening to follow you, Sam?
So I'm on X at Sam Marsden Drama, and I'm on Instagram at Pocketful of Drama. And I think that's about it. And then I'm on Amazon. Just put my name in Amazon and buy my book.
Absolutely. I will be doing that. Sam, you are so much fun. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I want to thank you so much for connecting with Teachers on Fire. You are going to be my source, okay? You're going to be my mentor as I integrate more drama into my practice. And Teachers on Fire, I'm your host, Tim Cavey. So grateful that you decided to spend some of your day tuning in and listening to this podcast or viewing on YouTube. If you enjoyed the content you heard today from my guest, Sam Marsden, consider picking up a copy of her newest book, Drama Games for Early Years. In the meantime, keep sparking your thinking and igniting your practice, Teachers on Fire. And I'll meet you next week right here on the Teachers on Fire podcast. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.